Hello there, Ray here. Today guys, I have an amazing farm for you. This is the easiest way to get tons of food, and this is a Hoglin farm. This thing is super cheap as well as being really efficient. You get over 2 double chests worth of cooked pork every hour that you AFK this. And guys, take this opportunity to go ahead and subscribe, because currently only 30% of you guys are subscribed, and we're trying to get that up to 40%. You can see this farm, there's not that much to it. There is just a little bit underneath as well. And it produces over 7,500 items per hour, most of which is cooked pork, and you'll get this much cooked pork just in 1 hour. If you guys don't know, cooked pork is equivalent to cooked steak. As most of you guys know, cooked steak is one of the best foods in the game of Minecraft. So this farm is by far the best farm to use when you want to get a food source in Minecraft. And this farm is very easy to build up. All you have to do is get through the bedrock, which I have a great video that shows 5 easy ways to get above the bedrock. Once you get above here, you can go ahead and link another portal up here, which will automatically take you from the overworld to on top of the bedrock. You can find both those videos linked below. This farm might look familiar if you've seen my easy piglin farm. This is the same kind of layout, and the hoglins would spawn on top of here. Hoglins are a new mob. They're added in 1.16, the Nether update, and they naturally spawn here in the Crimson Forest, which is a new biome. They are a hostile mob, so even though they look kind of like a pig, they are aggressive towards the player, and they are also quite large. If we do F3 plus B to turn on their hitboxes, you can see they are bigger than one box, so they actually need a 3x3 area to be nice and flat for them to spawn in. Now with each spawn, you can also get baby ones as well, but you can breed hoglins currently, and they will produce a baby, and you can also feed the babies with the crimson fungus. And that'll eventually make them grow up. And when you kill one of the hoglins, they have a chance of producing raw pork as well as leather. Let's see if we can get some leather. There is them right there. And you also get some XPs if killed by the player. Baby ones will not give you anything if you kill those. Now in the easy piglin farm, we want to actually avoid having hoglins spawn in there. This farm's exactly opposite. We want hoglins to spawn, but we want to avoid piglins as well as zombified piglins, both of which can also spawn here in the Crimson Forest. Now the way that we do that is by having a lot of light sources around here. This is because both zombified piglin as well as piglin will not spawn in light sources above light level 11. That means in this entire area, everything is light level 12 or higher, meaning that the only thing will spawn in here is hoglins. The platform itself consists of any type of block that you want for the floor. I also put in fences here. That way a hoglin can spawn in like this location and not hit any of these blocks. If it happened to be a different type of block, hoglin would try to spawn there and it would collide with this glass here, and then the game would actually not allow that to occur and the spawn attempt would fail and you would get no hoglin. And the reason why we have this fence in is because we have the hoglins spawning in 4 different quadrants, and the idea is to try to get them all into one location for easy killing as well as collecting of loot. Now in this farm, I use a lot of the same things I showed in my previous hoglin farm, which is more of a tileable design. This one is kind of a all-in-one design, and this takes advantage of that hoglins are actually scared of this new type of mushroom. This is actually a warped fungus. So this blue variation, they are afraid of it and they'll try to run away from it. So if a hoglin would spawn in here, it would search around it 8 blocks on every side of it. Once it sees one of these, it will attempt to run 8 blocks away from it. So by having a bunch of the fungus along this end here, we can force them away from this fence and closer to the center. So I can spawn in a bunch of these guys, and then they'll all kind of be afraid of this side and try to work their way this way. I also have an extra row of warped fungus here. In case one would spawn kind of right here, then he would be able to see this one and run away from it, because he wouldn't be able to see all the way back to this one over here. And you can see they all eventually ran over here and hopped down into this hole. So when the hoglins are trying to run away, they can also choose a location like over here to walk to, because they think they can walk through these trapdoors. So they would walk over here and try to walk over to like a block on this side. But with the trapdoors open like this, they're unable to actually walk through them. Instead, they fall in the gap between them, and they can fall down in here. And once they go ahead and fall down here, we just have a small little room for them to eventually pathfind into the nether portal. So what we got over here is another one of these warped fungus to scare them away from this corner and to scare them over into this direction. Behind this portal, we do have some trapdoors, and they think they can walk through those. So essentially they think they can walk through the nether portal and out to the outside, where there is plenty of places that they believe is farther than this fungus here. Once the hoglin goes through this nether portal, they will attempt to walk across these trapdoors. We have a very similar setup where we have a warped fungus on the opposite side of the nether portal, so they're afraid of that and they'll try to walk away from it. So they walk out of the nether portal, thinking that they can walk across these trapdoors. Instead, they fall down, and we drop them 2 blocks into this lava here. So you can see them falling out of the nether portal and falling into this lava. And the lava is 4 deep, giving them enough time to remove the majority of their health. And they eventually make it to the very bottom, and by the time they reach the bottom, they will die from the lava as well as being on fire, and then they'll drop their loot. Now since they are technically underneath the lava when their loot drops, it won't burn up in the lava, except it'll be picked up by these hoppers here and be put into the chest over here. And this way the hoglins are on fire when they die, and this will produce cooked pork instead of just having raw pork. So you can see the cooked pork, and we also get leather off of them as well. You'll get around 6,600 cooked pork per hour and around 1,000 leather per hour. So make sure you have plenty of room to store all this, because it will fill up more than a double chest worth of items just in 1 hour. Now to run the farm, you'd go ahead and AFK on the nether side to make it so that mobs are able to spawn around the player. And this is why the farm is above the nether here. It is the ideal place to build it, since underneath of the nether ceiling there is tons of places for mobs to spawn in. You can see all the ones currently spawning in. And since the game limits the number of spawns for hostile mobs, you want to force them all into a small area. And the way that I do that is by AFKing up quite high. The higher you AFK, the less area mobs can spawn in. Since mobs only spawn in 128 blocks around the player, including downwards, if I move 128 blocks above the nether ceiling, mobs will be limited to only spawning inside of the farm and not spawning underneath of the bedrock. You can see as I move upwards, there is a lot of hoglins already spawning in. And let's keep going all the way up. It's pretty much to the very top of the world. Here's my AFK spot. It's at Y level 255 above the farm. This means that no other spot can allow mobs to spawn in other than directly inside of our farm. And we're also guaranteed to make sure that every single spawn is a hoglin. And if we hurry drop down, you can see all the hoglins that are in the farm and how they are pathfinding towards the center and going into the nether portal over there. Now because the area here is a decent size, it allows quite a few hoglins to spawn in here, but at no point is the mob cap actually held up. Meaning that if the game only allows 70 hostile mobs to spawn, and there's around 20 to 30 hoglins here, we don't have to worry about how fast they actually move into the nether portal over here, because there's always plenty of room for more of them to spawn in. This also means if you want to make the farm faster, you can actually put like 4 of these all right beside each other, and then you get 4 times the rates. We're currently getting 6,600 cooked pork per hour. I'm not sure how you're going to use it all up. I did test it with the nether portals up here, thinking that it'd be quicker for them to go inside. The mobs really have trouble pathfinding through this nether portal, even though there is technically the same kind of setup in the center, so they think they could walk through here and over onto this side, but they just don't pathfind through the nether portal very well. And because of that, they often kind of walk around on this side a lot before going in. And the rates were 1,000 items less per hour with nether portals up here rather than just 1 down here. And by AFKing here in the nether dimension, all these chunks are loaded, and once the hoglins come down here and go through this nether portal, any entity going through nether portal will load chunks on the other side, making this also entity processing chunks. This was a really cool discovery that I showed you guys quite a few years ago, making it possible to load other dimensions just by sending entities through them. And by using this trick, we were able to have this farm run with mobs coming over to overworld and automatically dying and putting their loot into the chests below without any player needing to be here. This means even somewhere like a single player world, you don't have to worry about players being in overworld, which normally would unload in a single player world with no one in it. Now with this nether portal, we also have a pathway leading past the trapdoors down into the rest of the land. There's actually a bunch of barrier blocks down here. This gives a place for the hoglins to think that they can run to when they're trying to run away from the warped fungus back here. I also have some blocks kind of sitting on the edges, like this block here, just to prevent once in a while one will get shoved into the side of this nether portal. Keeps them from clipping completely through and escaping. And the same thing on like this side as well as that side. But for the majority, the hoglins will spawn in the center of this nether portal. That's something you want to kind of pay attention to when you build this. That way they flow nice and smoothly out of this. Also on the bottom, I use the new fungus fence gates, and these don't burn from lava. So if you ever have trouble with that, use these type of fence gates. And if you don't have enough iron to make hoppers, you can make these guys drop a little bit farther, and then once they die, then put some water underneath them to collect their loot and push it all into one hopper. As a hopper should be able to process 9,000 items per hour, and this farm produces a little bit less than that. Now when you're running this farm, you will get baby hoglins to come through. Like I said, they don't actually produce any loot, and the system also allows them to be killed off, so you don't have a problem with entity cramming. So what they'll do is when they get down here is they'll hop up and down and they'll actually hop back into the lava and kill themselves if they haven't died already. Because the baby hoglins are smaller than the adults, they do sometimes fall through the lava faster. Now up here, you can pretty much put any type of block in for the floor as long as mobs can spawn on it. Down here, we want to avoid mob spawning on this, but mostly we want to avoid piglin as well as the zombified piglin. They can also spawn inside the nether portal, so I put light here to make it too bright for them to spawn in there. And in the entire farm, we use soul soil as the block to place your fungus on top of. You can use any typical dirt type block to place on top of, but soul soil is actually unique. It can allow warp fungus to actually be placed on top of it, but endermen are unable to pick this block up. Unlike other types of blocks like dirt blocks as well as the nylium, endermen can pick those up. And of the new blocks, endermen can pick up the fungus, the nylium, as well as the roots variations. So you still wouldn't want endermen in here because they could steal your fungus. Once in a while you get a hoglin that kind of sits here in the corner. He thinks he can like run away, but since we're not really worried about the mob cap, if one sits here it doesn't really affect the farm. If you want to avoid it, you could come in here and place in like a fence gate above this so they can't actually reach here to where this fungus is at. There's also a really weird circumstance where two hoglins will both try to run opposite directions and run into each other and are unable to pass each other up. And they will actually sit there for hours just pushing at each other. But just like the hoglin sitting in the corner, they are hostile mobs and will despawn over time, as long as the player is greater than 32 blocks away from them. Now if you wanted to, you could make the hoglin farm similar to my old one, where I have a lava source right here in the nether dimension. That way you can kill them all in the same dimension. And it shouldn't really affect the rates since the mob cap isn't being filled up. But if you're trying to expand this, then you would want to force them into the nether portal. And remember guys to share this farm with other Minecrafters so they can learn about the new ways to get tons of easy food. And that is by far the best way to support my channel, is just by sharing what I do with other people. And if you guys would like to learn more simple farms like this, I have a playlist linked below which has over 100 different simple farms that you can build up in your survival world. So if you haven't seen, make sure you watch those. And don't forget to leave a like on the video as well as turn on notifications so you don't miss out on new discoveries about the newest snapshots. Overall, a very simple farm and amazing source for food. I really want to thank everyone who went ahead and subscribed and is supporting me on my endeavor about making videos about what I enjoy. Thanks everyone who joined our snapshot testing stream while we were building this up. If you guys would like to see how to build this up, I provide the world download and all my farms down in the descriptions. And I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.